The autumn morning light streaming through the large glass windows of the museum was exceptionally beautiful. Abigail Morrison glanced at her watch while making final adjustments for the new exhibition. 1 hour until opening. With a tense expression, she adjusted the angle of a frame and stepped back to check the overall balance. Perfect, Abigail. Museum director Martha approached with a smile. This modern art exhibition wouldn't have succeeded without your curation. Thank you, Martha, Abigail returned a humble smile. But we still have the press conference ahead. Back in her office, Abigail checked her cell phone. There was a missed call from Emily's school. Worried, she quickly called back and a school staff member answered. Ms. Morrison, Emily seems to have developed a slight fever. Could you come pick her up? Abigail let out a deep sigh as she thought about the press conference time. I understand. I'll come right away. When she explained the situation to Martha, her understanding boss said, family comes first. I'll handle the press conference. Abigail expressed her gratitude and hurriedly left the museum. 6-year-old Emily was curled up small on the bed in the school infirmary. Her golden curls were stuck to her forehead with sweat, and her usually vibrant expression was somewhat listless. When Abigail entered the infirmary, Emily gave a weak smile. Mommy. It's okay, Emily. Abigail placed her hand on her daughter's forehead to check her temperature. Let's go home. Once in the car, Emily clutched her stuffed animal in the back seat. Looking at her daughter through the rearview mirror, Abigail reflected on her days as a single mother since her divorce 3 years ago. Her ex-husband James had left saying, I need more freedom. Now he only visits Emily once a month, and only when he feels like it. Arriving at their apartment, Abigail tucked Emily into bed and gave her some fever medication. While checking work emails, she began warming soup in the kitchen. The clock on the wall showed 3 o'clock. Normally, she would have been answering reporters' questions by now. The phone rang, displaying her mother Carol's name. Abigail hesitated a moment before answering. Abby, how are you? Carol's voice was still youthful and full of energy. Well, I'm okay. Emily has a fever, so I left work early. Oh dear. But I'm glad I caught you. Actually, I'm having a birthday party next Saturday. Of course, I want you and Emily to come. Abigail bit her lip involuntarily. It would be her first meeting with her mother's new boyfriend, Victor Harris. 2 months ago, her mother, after succeeding in real estate, suddenly began dating this younger man and moved with him to a luxurious beach house. Abigail had a vague distrust of Victor, but couldn't express it to her mother. Of course we'll come, Mom. If Emily feels better, she'll be looking forward to seeing Grandma. Wonderful. Victor is looking forward to meeting you both. Carol's voice was filled with happiness. He's really a wonderful person. You'll see when you meet him. Abigail smiled and replied, yes, I'm sure. After hanging up, she gazed out the window. From her apartment facing the wharf, she could see the evening sea. In her heart, complex emotions swirled about her mother's new life. Over the weekend, Abigail searched for a present for her mother between work hours. Finally, she found a rare antique brooch her mother had wanted for years. Friday evening, after finishing work at the museum, she picked up Emily from daycare and began driving along the coastal road. What do you think Grandma's new house is like? Emily asked Abigail from the back seat. It's a lovely beach house. You can see the ocean. And the new uncle. Emily's voice had a hint of tension. Abigail hesitated for a moment. Yes, Uncle Victor will be there too. I'm sure he's nice. Emily silently hugged her stuffed animal. As silence filled the car, Abigail thought about her mother's new life. Carol seemed to be glowing as if she had started life anew. At times, Abigail found it both enviable and concerning. As she drove along the coastline, Abigail tapped her fingers to the jazz tune playing on the radio. Leaving Boston's hustle behind and driving north along the coastal road, she felt the air gradually change. "Mom, I'm hungry." Looking in the rearview mirror, Abigail saw Emily gazing out the window with a bored expression. She smiled and answered, "Yes, there should be a service area soon. Let's take a..."
Do you know some people earn over $10,000 a month just by posting Reddit stories on YouTube? No face, no voice, just a laptop. I do it too. Link below if you're curious.
Break. At the cafeteria in the service area, they had a light meal of sandwiches and orange juice. While drinking her juice through a straw, Emily suddenly asked, "What kind of person is the uncle?" Abigail was a bit surprised by her daughter's question. "Uncle Victor." "Well," she continued, choosing her words carefully, "I haven't met him yet either. I've only spoken with him on the phone a few times. But Grandma really likes him." "Was Grandma lonely?" Emily asked with childlike directness. Abigail thought for a moment. Since losing her husband 3 years ago, her mother Carol had been living alone. Her real estate business was successful, so she had no financial troubles, but perhaps she was lonely in that big house by herself. "Maybe she was," Abigail answered honestly. "But Grandma is a strong person, so she doesn't show her feelings much." Back in the car, Emily took out her stuffed animal and a small picture book in the back seat, entering her own little world. Abigail focused on driving again and began thinking about Victor Harris. From her mother's calls, she heard he was a successful businessman working in real estate investment. Apparently, they met at a charity event. Abigail frowned involuntarily. It might just be prejudice, but she couldn't help feeling something suspicious about him. However, her mother seemed truly happy for the first time in a long while. Carol's voice on the phone was full of youthfulness and energy. And above all, Carol was an adult with the right to live by her own judgment. Abigail sighed. She couldn't make an accurate assessment without meeting him first. "Mom, I can see the ocean." Emily's voice echoed in the car. Indeed, the blue horizon of the Atlantic was beginning to appear on the right side of the road. From here, they would enter the territory of the upscale resort area of Cape Ann. As her mother had instructed, Abigail turned the car from the coastal road onto a small side road. Going up a gentle slope lined with pine trees, the road became increasingly narrow, with grand vacation homes scattered on both sides. "Wow, amazing!" Emily leaned out the window, looking up at the large houses. Houses with white pillars and wide verandas, modern glass houses, stone houses that exuded history, all were clearly very expensive. Abigail continued deeper following the navigation instructions. According to the map, her mother's new beach house was located near the tip of the peninsula, in a spot overlooking the sea. About a 2-hour drive from Boston. Properties in this area with private beaches would cost no less than several $1,000,000. "Mom." Emily's tone changed. "This place feels strange." Abigail glanced back at her daughter in the rearview mirror. Emily was staring out the window. Her expression was clearly tense. "What's wrong, Emily?" "I don't know." Emily hugged her stuffed animal tightly. "It just feels strange." Abigail laughed lightly. "You're probably just tired from the long journey. We're almost there, and you'll see Grandma when we arrive." But Emily's expression didn't brighten. She remained silent and began fidgeting with her stuffed animal's ear. Abigail grew a bit concerned, but the car's GPS announced, 1 mile to destination. The road narrowed further, winding through the trees. Suddenly, the trees opened up and they emerged atop a cliff overlooking the sea. There stood the beach house they were heading to. It was a large, 3-story white building with large glass windows that would offer a panoramic view of the ocean. A well-maintained garden spread around the building, and wooden stairs led down to the beach below. Abigail gasped. Had her mother really purchased such a luxurious house? Or was it a rental? Stopping the car in front of the gate, she pressed the intercom button. After a moment, a low, calm male voice responded. Yes, who is this? Abigail Morrison. Carol Bradley's daughter. Ah, Abigail. We've been expecting you. Please come in. With an electronic tone, the gate slowly opened. Abigail drove in, heading toward the circular parking area in front of the house. Several luxury cars were already parked there. It seemed other guests had arrived as well. There are a lot of cars, Emily said in a small voice. When Abigail turned around, her daughter was looking outside anxiously. Because it's a party. I'm sure Grandma's friends are here too. After parking the car, Abigail took the gift package from the back seat. Emily slowly got out of the car and stayed close to her mother. What's wrong? Abigail placed her hand on her daughter's head. It's okay. We'll see Grandma. Emily remained silent, holding Abigail's hand tightly. Her small hand was cold and seemed to be trembling slightly. Walking along the beautifully maintained stone path, they headed toward the magnificent entrance. As they approached, laughter and conversation sounds came from inside the house. Through the large glass windows, they could see elegantly dressed people chatting with champagne glasses in hand. Abigail squeezed Emily's hand and said, "Let's go." However, just as Abigail was about to move forward, Emily suddenly stopped and gripped her mother's hand tightly. What's wrong, Emily? Abigail looked into her daughter's face. Emily looked up at the beach house with wide eyes. She slowly shook her head, her voice trembling. Mom, don't go in there. Abigail frowned in surprise. Why? Grandma is waiting for us. Emily's small hand gripped Abigail's even more firmly. Fear showed in her eyes. Please. Let's go home. Abigail was momentarily confused. Emily was often imaginative and sometimes anxious, but she had never seen her daughter so strongly afraid of something. Her whole body was trembling slightly. Emily, what happened? Did you see something? She followed her daughter's gaze. Through the windows, she could see the party. Men were chatting with glasses in hand, women were dressed in elegant dresses, smiling and conversing. But she couldn't see her mother. I can't say. Emily said in a trembling voice. But this is a scary place. The door of the beach house opened, and a man came out. Abigail instinctively understood it was Victor. He was more attractive than she had expected, wearing a slim-fitting suit, his silver hair gleaming in the sunlight. He looked around the garden, clearly searching for someone. Abigail instinctively hid behind a bush. She didn't know why she had taken such action. It was just an instinctual response. Why are we hiding? Emily asked in a whisper. I don't know, Abigail answered honestly. She looked at Emily's face. Maternal instinct worked at the sight of her daughter's pale expression. Emily was genuinely afraid of something. And Abigail herself had an unexplainable distrust of her mother's fiancé. She made a decision. All right, Emily. Let me think for a moment. Abigail took out her cell phone and called her mother. There was no answer. She tried again, but still no connection. That's strange. She muttered. Mother always answers her phone. Looking at the entrance again, Victor had already returned inside. Abigail took a deep breath and thought. She was a rational person. As a museum curator, she was confident in her logical thinking and analytical skills. But now, she was about to follow her daughter's fear and her own vague anxiety. Was that irrational? She looked at her daughter's face again. Emily, do you really want to leave? Can't you tell me why? Emily looked straight into her mother's eyes. There was a determined expression on her small face. Grandma is in danger. Those people, they're bad people. Abigail shuddered. There was an age-inappropriate certainty in Emily's voice. All right, she answered quietly. I'll just leave the present. Then we'll go. Emily's expression softened a little. Abigail took a notepad and pen from her handbag and wrote a short note. Emily isn't feeling well, so unfortunately, we're heading back today. Please accept this gift. I'll call you later. With love, Abby. She attached the note to the gift package and quietly approached the porch. Just as she placed the gift and was about to turn on her heel, the door opened. Abigail. Victor Harris stood there with a broad smile. He spread his arms and approached her as if they were old friends. Finally, we meet. Carol has told me so much about you. Abigail managed a social smile despite her tension. Nice to meet you, Victor. Where is my mother? Carol is upstairs getting ready. She said she was going to wear a special dress. Victor's eyes were warm, and his voice was friendly. Yet, something felt off. Was it that his eyes weren't smiling? Or was it the slight tension in his posture? I see. Actually. Abigail turned toward Emily. Her daughter was waiting near the car, clearly looking anxious. My daughter is feeling a bit unwell. I thought I'd just drop off the present. Victor's expression changed slightly. It was just for a moment, but Abigail definitely saw a flash of irritation. That's a shame. But won't you come in, just for a little while? Carol was really looking forward to seeing you. I'm sorry. Emily isn't feeling well. Victor placed his hand on her shoulder. The touch was friendly yet somehow domineering. I prepared a special drink too. For everyone. There was a subtle force in his voice. Abigail stepped back and smiled politely. Maybe next time. Please give my regards to Mother. I'll call her. She placed the gift on the porch and began walking toward Emily. Feeling Victor's gaze on her back, Abigail took her daughter's hand. Let's go, she said quietly. As they walked to the car, Abigail didn't look back. But when Emily looked back, she whispered, Mom, that man is watching. Getting into the car and starting the engine, Abigail checked Victor in the rearview mirror. He was indeed staring at their car unnaturally. Fasten your seatbelt securely, Abigail said. As she was about to drive off, another man came out from the entrance and began talking with Victor. It was an unfamiliar face. When Victor pointed at the car, that man also looked at them. Mom, let's go quickly, Emily's voice trembled in the back seat. Just as Abigail was about to shift gears, Victor rushed to the car. He knocked on the window. Abigail, Carol wants to talk to you on the phone. Abigail hesitated for a moment. Should she talk to her mother? But the engine was already running. Something was whispering to her, leave now. I'll call later, she answered through the window and drove off. Until they reached the road, Abigail kept checking the rearview mirror. Victor and the man stood in the garden, watching until the car disappeared from view. As they passed through the forest path and reached the main road, Abigail finally let out a sigh of relief. It's okay, Emily, she called to her daughter. We're safe now. Emily was still hugging her stuffed animal with her seatbelt fastened. Her expression was still tense, but visibly relaxing gradually. Mom, she said in a small voice. Those people were going to do something to Grandma. Abigail got goosebumps. What do you mean? I don't know, but they were all laughing in a strange way. Grandma is in danger. Abigail pulled the car into a roadside parking space and rotated her seat to face her daughter. Emily, how do you know that? Emily shrugged. I just knew. If we went into that house, something bad would happen. Abigail thought deeply. As a rational adult, she knew she shouldn't judge based solely on a child's intuition. But as a mother, she felt that Emily's fear was genuine. And above all, she herself had an unexplainable distrust of Victor. She took out her cell phone and called her mother again. This time, after the ringtone, it switched to an automated response. "That's strange," she muttered. "Mom," Emily's voice suddenly became stronger. "Don't call Grandma. Those people are listening." Abigail was surprised by her daughter's words. "Emily, what do you mean?" Her words were interrupted by her cell phone's ringtone. The screen displayed "Unknown." After a moment's hesitation, Abigail pressed the answer button. "Hello? Abigail, what's going on?" It was Victor's voice. "Carol is very worried. Coming all this way and then leaving." Abigail looked outside the window. They should have been quite far from the beach house by now. How did Victor know her phone number? "Emily isn't feeling well," she answered, trying to appear calm. "I'll let her rest a bit more, then we'll visit again properly." "I see, that's unfortunate." Victor's voice had a subtle irritation mixed in. "Carol wanted to spend her special day with family. She's tired and lying down now, but when she wakes up, she'll be disappointed." Abigail frowned. "Is Mother sleeping? You didn't mention she was feeling unwell earlier." There was a moment of silence. "Ah, that's right. She's been getting tired easily lately. The doctor says it's menopausal symptoms." Abigail began to feel anxious. "Victor, actually I'm not feeling too well either. I'm going to go home and rest. I'll call Mother myself later." "Of course," Victor's voice returned to being friendly. "But it's Carol's birthday. Won't you at least stay to have some cake? I prepared something special for her. A healthy special recipe." Abigail looked at Emily in the rearview mirror. Her daughter was shaking her head vigorously. "I'm sorry, we'll do it next time," Abigail said firmly. "That's a shame." Victor's voice turned cold. "I thought you were thinking of Carol." "Well, fine, I'll be in touch." After the call ended, Abigail let out a deep sigh. She gripped the steering wheel firmly and started the car again. "Mom," Emily said in a small voice. "Is Grandma okay?" "I don't know, Emily," Abigail answered honestly. "But I'm thinking of a way to find out." She organized options in her head. Should she contact Judith, her mother's best friend? Or should she report to the local police? But there was no clear evidence of danger. Just intuition and a 6-year-old child's fear. While Abigail was considering her options, her cell phone rang again. This time it was from her mother's number. After a moment's hesitation, she answered. "Mom? Are you okay?" But it wasn't her mother's voice that replied. It was Victor. "Abigail, Carol is sleeping now. But she said she wanted to talk to you when she wakes up." Abigail pulled the car over to the shoulder. Something was wrong. Why was Victor using her mother's phone? "Can you wake her and have her come to the phone?" she demanded. "Unfortunately, that's not possible. I want her to rest. She's very tired after drinking a special cocktail." There was an unnatural cheerfulness in Victor's voice. "What kind of cocktail?" Abigail's wariness increased. "A health drink. My special recipe. All the guests liked it too." From the other end of the phone, another voice was heard. "Not everyone came. But the old woman alone is enough. Proceed as planned. The special cocktail's effect will be within 30 minutes. Victor hurriedly muttered something, and that voice faded away. However, the call hadn't ended. Abigail felt the blood drain from her face. She looked at Emily. Her daughter was staring at her mother with big eyes. "Mom." Emily's voice was trembling. "Did that man give Grandma poison?" Abigail was momentarily speechless. Emily's intuition matched her own anxiety. She quickly moved to the passenger seat and took out a map from the glove compartment. "Emily, it's okay," she tried desperately to appear calm. "We're going to the police now." From the phone, there was the sound of Victor returning. "Abigail? Are you still listening?" Abigail immediately picked up the phone. "Yes, I can hear you." "Victor, what are you doing right now?" "What do you mean?" His voice was tense. "I'm just trying to make Carol's birthday party a success." "You were talking to someone just now." "The special cocktails effect will be within 30 minutes, you said." There was a moment of silence. The next sound was the phone cutting off. Abigail's hands were shaking. She took a deep breath and considered her next action. She should call the police. But what specifically should she tell them? Just saying, "My mother's boyfriend is suspicious," wouldn't be. Her thoughts were interrupted by Emily's voice. "Mom, Grandma is calling for help." Abigail turned around in surprise. "What?" Emily's face was pale, as if she were seeing another world. "Grandma is suffering. She's saying, 'Help me.'" Instinctively, Abigail called 911. When the operator responded, she briefly explained the situation. That her mother might be in danger, that she had heard suspicious conversations, and she gave the exact address of the beach house. "We're dispatching officers," the operator said in a calm voice. "Please stay in a safe location." After ending the call, Abigail started the car's engine. "Now, Emily. Fasten your seatbelt." "Where are we going?" Emily asked anxiously. "To the police station. We'll meet the officers there." Abigail made a U-turn and headed to the nearest police station. In her mind, fragments of information were starting to connect. Her mother had been feeling unwell recently, Victor talking about a special cocktail, and the conversation about a plan. "Mom," Emily said in a small voice. "That man was a bad person, wasn't he?" Abigail smiled at her daughter. "Your instinct was right, Emily. If you hadn't warned me." She swallowed her words. Arriving at the police station, several patrol cars were already preparing to deploy. Abigail quickly got out of the car and approached the nearest officer. "Are you Ms. Morrison?" the officer asked. "Please tell me the details of the situation." While she was explaining, another officer brought Emily hot chocolate. Abigail told the police everything: the conversation she had heard, her mother's recent condition, and her distrust of Victor. "We'll check immediately," the officer said. "Please wait here." Abigail sat next to Emily, putting her arm around her and hugging her. "It's okay, Emily. You're such a brave girl." Emily leaned against her mother and whispered, "Will Grandma be saved?" "I'm sure she will," Abigail said. But anxiety swirled in her heart. The hour spent in the police station waiting room felt like the longest in Abigail's life. Emily had finally been released from tension and was sleeping on the sofa. As Abigail gently stroked her daughter's hair, the door opened and a uniformed officer entered. "Ms. Morrison," his expression was bright. "Your mother is safe. She's being transported to the hospital by ambulance right now." Tears of relief flowed from Abigail. "Really? What happened?" "When we arrived, several party attendees were complaining of feeling unwell. Your mother was also in a dazed state, but fortunately, it wasn't serious," the officer explained quietly. "We've arrested Victor Harris and another man. Beverage samples have been confiscated for testing." "Poison." "Details are still being confirmed, but sedative-like substances were detected. Thanks to your report, the worst was avoided." 3 days later, Abigail visited Carol's hospital room. Her mother looked thinner than usual, but was sitting on the bed enjoying origami with Emily. When Abigail entered the room, Carol showed a bright smile. "Abby." She reached out toward her daughter. "Thanks to you and Emily, I'm alive." Abigail gripped her mother's hand tightly. The investigation had revealed that Victor and his accomplice had planned to target Carol's fortune. They had been slowly poisoning Carol first, and then planned to eliminate the entire family who would interfere with the inheritance, all at once at the party. I never realized. Carol said painfully. I believed that person, invited him into my home. Don't blame yourself, Mom, Abigail said gently. It could happen to anyone. Carol looked at Emily. But why did Emily know? How did she sense the danger? Abigail also looked at her daughter. Emily was by the window, smiling with a bird-shaped origami in her hand. I don't know, Abigail answered honestly. But it's certain that her intuition saved us. A month later, Carol sold the beach house and purchased a small house near Abigail and Emily's apartment. One calm evening, the three sat together on the porch of Carol's new home. Emily, Carol handed her granddaughter a small box. This is a special gift for you. Inside the box was a beautiful antique pendant. It was passed down from Carol's mother. Your special sense saved my life, Carol spoke tearfully. From now on, let's live closer together and protect each other. Emily hugged the pendant to her chest, beaming with a full smile. Abigail watched her mother and daughter, filled with deep gratitude. If she hadn't listened to Emily's warning that day. Sometimes a child's intuition may be more correct than an adult's reason, Abigail murmured quietly. The sun set on the horizon, and the long shadows of the three stretched across the porch. A new beginning awaited them. The bond of 3 generations, strengthened by overcoming crisis. It was proof of a real family that could withstand any storm.